Hi, Liz. Thanks so much for hopping on this morning.
Absolutely. Hi, Ashley. I love this, the whole spotlighting of women. I think it's amazing what you guys are doing.
Yeah, you're the very first conversation that we're recording for Women's History Month for our Jaybird series. So, welcome.
Oh, thank you. This is an honor. I love this.
The first question I wanted to ask you is who is a female mentor or role model who's had the biggest impact on your career?
I absolutely there are a number, but absolutely hands down, E. Jean Mason. We called her Jeannie, and God rest her soul. She passed away in 2016, but she was one of the authors of the Copyright Act of 1976, and she taught me absolutely everything that was in her head about publishing and copyright law and terminations. And she is the reason that I have served almost 14 years with the Isaac Hayes estate.
That's amazing. How did you originally meet her?
So Teddy Riley, um, she's godmother to one of his sons, but she came to meet with us when I was working with Teddy in LA, and I was fascinated and by just her knowledge. It was just, and I didn't learn all these things, of course, in that first meeting, but I immediately said, this is somebody I need to know. And she was Quincy Jones' personal kind of publishing guru, like I am for the Hayes Estate and also for Dallas Austin. She was that for Quincy Jones for 35 years. And she was an amazingly astute. She was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And I would spend 8, 10 hours a day with her, soaking up everything. And her biggest thing was we are in the time frame right now where all of these magical artists that were on Motown and of that era, the Isaac Hayeses of the world can start terminating their copyrights. And it was just an amazing experience being with her.
It sounds like she left a really big legacy for the entire industry.
She absolutely did. It wasn't just me. There's so many other people that she touched along the way, and I was so honored to be called one of her daughters.
Well, over all of your years in the music industry, what positive changes have you seen for women? We still have a lot of areas we're working on, but what positive changes have you seen?
A lot. Heads of music. Sylvia Rhone just really set the tone many, many, many years ago, and um, her now with Golner at Reservoir Media, Faith Newman, really going into her role at Def Jam, and then now here she is, one of the senior VPs of publishing acquisitions for Reservoir, and it is just, you see all of these women and the growth that all of them have had. And then, I look at myself, I started as an intern for Dallas Austin, on a whim meeting because my sister worked for an engineer. And he's like, so what do you do? And that's where the conversation, and 30 years later, I'm still with him.
Do you get to talk to a lot of young women and encourage them about the leadership roles that they can grow to?
I absolutely do. I serve on the board of directors, advisory council for this College of Design and School of Music at Georgia Tech. And as a part of kind of this is my responsibility. I've taken this role and I feel a huge responsibility to pass on as much knowledge as possible. And I do that by this series called Instrumental Conversations that I have. And I engage with the women in music. They have a club, Women in Music, and I really engage with them, and they support me, with everything that we do on campus. And it is, it's my responsibility to pass this information down. I have an intern that works with me. Well, she's not an intern anymore. She's on staff, but Sierra Oliver, and just she's a social media whiz, but I'm really teaching her a whole other side, of it as well. I do have a friend whose daughter lives here, and Skylar works with me as well, and on a few projects. And I just love being able to sit down and educate them.
That's amazing that you've gotten to serve as a mentor in that way.
I I love it. I feel like it's an honor for me to be able to feed into these young women.
Is there a most memorable or proudest moment of your career so far over its history?
Well, there are so many. I coordinated 45 albums. I have worked with every label, every artist, that you can think of, TLC, Usher, Tyrese, David Banner, Lil Wayne, Beyonce, and Kelly Rowland. But I think one of the most memorable is definitely, I get a call from John McClain one afternoon, and um, another mentor was Gerald Busby, and he and John were really good friends. And John manages and runs the Michael Jackson's estate. And so he called me and he said, I need you to coordinate a project for Michael. And so he was doing kind of another We Are the World. And this was in 1999 or 2000. And so I had to coordinate with the studio, and this was before, Zoom and things of that nature, right? So we had to run Cat 5 into a studio to be able to get him on a screen. Like it was just, it was so interesting, everything that had to be done, but that was certainly an honor. And I think the second largest one that's most memorable and probably career changing is the decision a few weeks ago with the Isaac Hayes estate lawsuit with Donald J. Trump. And we reached a mutual resolution. Everybody can read into that what they want, but the family was very happy, and as was I. It was an 18-month ordeal, but the President of the United States often thinks that he can use whatever music and not be held accountable. And he used Hold On, I'm Coming, which is owned by the estate, 134 times at his rallies as his exit music. And we had asked him to stop. He did not. So we sued him, and we prevailed.
All of us at Jaybird were definitely very excited and proud to hear about the resolution of the case. And I mean, talk about history. That case will be in history books. That will be part of your legacy too.
It will absolutely. I think the biggest, kind of one of the biggest thing that it established was that this is like it's IP, right? It's your intellectual property, and somebody can't just come and take that. And the reason that we were protected is because we copyrighted the music. And I think a lot of artists are misconstrued or told things that aren't necessarily true, that you can just release it. It's automatically copyrighted by you. And that's not true. And I think a lot of what I'm trying to get artists to understand is that the power of copywriting their own music. It costs so little. Don't go out. Don't have coffee for a week, that kind of thing. Don't do your extracurricular activities for a week and register your music. It's really what saved us.
I think that's such important advice and is, something that helps shape history now. I mean, we can't even predict all the ripple effects of everything that's happening with music now.
You are absolutely correct. And especially with AI and where we're going with that. And that's opening a whole other can of worms when it comes to copyright. And if you created it, you need to copyright your music. I cannot stress that enough.
Well, one of my other favorite parts of Women's History Month is shouting out and supporting women-owned and run businesses. So that can be in the industry or businesses that you shop at in your community or anything. What are some of your favorites?
I have a few. I am a twin. I have a twin sister, Elise, and she is a part of Garner Group Music, but she also is a food stylist and works with Charleston Wine and Food with our really dear and her mentor, Gina Barry at Culinary Works. And they go in and set up huge kitchens for chefs to be able to come in and do these huge festivals. They manage all the food orders for all the chefs. It's just amazing to see what they do. It is such hard work, and I admire them so much. Her entire team is a team full of women and a few scattered men, but these women rock. They absolutely rock. Another friend of mine, Katrina Johnson, Mantra Mugs. Um, Katrina and I are both cancer survivors, and I think that during COVID, we both kind of had to figure out like different routes for us to go. And she creates these mugs that are coffee mugs that are just incredible. They were one of Oprah's favorite things,
Oh, wow.
and yeah, it was just amazing. They were on GMA and NBC, and so Katrina Johnson, Mantra Mugs, I love her. And then I'm really honored to work with just some incredible women in publishing. I've already mentioned Garner and Faith, but to have to be a founder and a CEO of a publishing company like Reservoir, they own probably and control 150,000 copyrights and then 36,000 masters. I just absolutely love and appreciate and adore them as women. They too, I learn from them every conversation I have, and I'm just honored to be able to work with them.
That's amazing. Thank you for shouting those out. I'll definitely have to check out the mugs too. I want to see those.
They're so she can do everything, anything you want. It's really cool.
I love collecting coffee mugs. I have a whole display on
Oh,
my wall that's very full. I should not get any more mugs ever, but I love them.
I love that.
Well, the last question. So the theme that the National Women's History Alliance set for this month is leading the change, women shaping a sustainable future. So do you have any thoughts around the theme of sustainability and what that means to you?
So I am Mississippi born to a grandfather that taught me from a very young age. I remember 3 years old having my little canvas bag and dragging cucumbers and corn and tomatoes and green beans. And he taught us to grow our own food. And my parents bought property in Montana, and that's our um, kind of retirement home, if you will, for my parents. They live there, but we have a garden. We have a neighbor who has goats, and she provides goat milk for the neighbors. We have another neighbor who makes sourdough, and if you want sourdough starter, she gives you some of your starter. Another one is they have pigs and chickens. And so, and then another friend of ours has bees. So we get honey from her. These are all women. And it's all women in our neighborhood, in our community, and we all support each other. We have my father built like this big box that opens and you can kind of put stuff and take stuff, and so we exchange, and it's on the drive where everybody has to go by, and so it's really amazing. We have our own well water. We have all of the things that we would need to survive. We grow more food than we know what to do with. We can and put up, like, we've had to skip a couple of years because we've just got so much food. But I am, you know, being that I grew up like that in 2012, I got this idea to do my grandmother's pickles, and I took a break from music for a little bit and did Garner Girls, specialty foods, and we made her 80-year-old recipe for sweet pickles, and so you know, learning those things from my grandfather to being able to create a business that was the chosen food product of the year for the New York Times in 2014, all while I was going through breast cancer. And it felt amazing. And, but I love these women and what they bring to our community. And we're all self-sustaining.
That's so incredible. You have had such a diverse career touching so many areas, and then somehow they all kind of intersect and end up having to do with each other.
They really, they really do. It's, I have had an amazing, amazing life. I am so grateful for everything that I have. I've never been given anything. I have earned everything I have done. And a long time ago, when I became that intern with Dallas, a lot of people, I would do everything from make business cards for all of his writers and producers to um, when we would go into staff meetings, like I would sit in the back corner. I remember Dallas one day, he was like, come over here and set the tape. I'm like, no, I just, it's for me, it's watching and it's taking everything in and learning every single job that has to be done. And it was, it was marketing, it was breaking records for JT Money. I broke who dat. I took that record to not me alone, but me and the team. But I was the lead female who would go and be in the strip clubs with JT Money every week. And, it was one of those things that it was amazing. And if I can teach anyone else, um, especially women in this business, it is learn everything that you can possibly learn in every single little caveat. You will find your place. Mine happens to be publishing and copyright law. And it took me 15 years or 10 years. I started in 95. And in 2005 is when I met Jamie and when I fell in love with publishing. And you're not going to learn it, but man, the past 20 years have been absolutely amazing.
Thank you so much. This has been such a cool conversation, getting to know more about you, and I'm honored to work with you and always enjoy it. And I know everyone at Jaybird does too.
Oh, thank you, Ashley. I am so happy to be a part of your team, and you guys are part of mine. And I love this. Keep doing this. I think it's phenomenal for women to be able to tell their stories.